Hello, welcome everyone to the Women's March Free America Walkout Mass Call. We are really excited to be with you tonight. And so we're going to be talking about the walkout next week. We have so many of you already in the house commenting in YouTube. So thank you for being with us tonight. Make sure that you are dropping your comments, your thoughts, and tell us where you're coming from. Right now, we want to hear where you're joining us from tonight and what does a free America look like to you? I'm going to hide the questions in the chat because tonight we are very fortunate to have ASL interpretation from Cocoa. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them. Cocoa Language Advocacy and Consulting is a collective of sign language and spoken language and tactile interpreters, providing language services, advocacy, and consulting services within the US and internationally at the intersection of language and disability justice frameworks. So we are very, very fortunate to have them with us tonight. If you would like to utilize ASL interpretation, we recommend viewing on your desktop rather than mobile. The vertical view is going to cut off some of the screen. So we recommend the horizontal view rather than the vertical view if you can. Also, if you prefer captions, you can watch it over on YouTube or Facebook. Facebook has live captioning. YouTube hasn't caught up yet. So you have some accessibility options, but we are just really excited to have ASL interpretation tonight. So again, tell me, what does a free America look like to you? And as much as I love what we're going to be free from, I want to hear what we're going to be free to. I want to hear the positive world that we're building, because we have to have a vision for what we're building, not just what we're dismantling. So tell me what vision you have for a free America. Tell us in the comments and tell us where you're coming from. I'm already seeing some West Coast folks. I'm seeing some Sugar Land, Texas. I know where Sugar Land is. We are seeing some Minnesota. Hey, Minnesota. Linda from Long Beach. We got Boulder, Colorado. Spring Hill, Florida. We got a lot of folks from across the country, and we have some visions of a free America coming on in. Free America means we take steps so no future person can deprive us of our constitutional rights. Yes, safeguarding democracy and safeguarding our Constitution is such an incredibly important charge. You have St. Petersburg, Florida. Amazing, amazing. All right. For ICE, we will be a presence. Yes, sir. All right. Feel safe in your neighborhood and your car. Yeah. Just the basics. Feeling safe where we are, feeling safe in the places that we are supposed to be safe. Absolutely. Free to pursue life, love, happiness without hurting others. Love is love. Access to housing and opportunities for all. Absolutely incredible. These are fantastic visions of free America. Free to teach our students without being accused of indoctrination. Absolutely. Truth is truth. And we want to be able to speak it, right? You get what you give. All right. No billionaires, affordability, faster track to citizenship. Freedom for everyone to enjoy and protect our planet. Autonomy. All right. We have some great visions here, and we have comments popping off. We're so excited to hear from all of you tonight. Now, I do want to let y'all know, we are heavy-handed on the ban hammer here at Women's March. We do not tolerate tomfoolery and nonsense, bullying, and spamming in the comments. So make sure that the comments are a community space where everybody's voices get to be heard, and we are not trying to overrun each other's voices by spamming the comments, because we will stop you. We also don't want to see you harassing, bullying. So first and foremost, be good to each other in the comments. And also, come from a space of curiosity. Don't assume people's worst intentions. Assume best intentions. And ask questions if something is hitting you the wrong way. Because sometimes We just phrase things poorly. It happens. So be curious with each other, be kind to each other. We will be watching the comments because we also want to hear your questions throughout the night. Make sure that you are asking, checking in with us if something isn't making sense to you or if you want more information, because we will be asking questions or answering questions at the end of the session. So we are really excited to talk about the Free America walkouts, and we're going to be talking about the why, who, and where of walking out. But first, we do need to get ourselves grounded in where we are at this moment, because right now we are in a slow descent to authoritarianism, but it is rapidly moving faster. It is increasing and it is snowballing, because really authoritarianism and the descent into authoritarianism is like the frog in the pot. It's a slow crawl. Authoritarian regimes like to test our limits. They like to cross red lines and see what we'll do. They'll instill harmful policies. They'll target marginalized communities, and they'll start to undermine democratic norms, kind of eating and gnawing away at them to see what they can get away with. And then they'll flood the zone, as Steve Bannon likes to put it, to keep us overwhelmed and exhausted. They'll do sweeping actions across so many different areas of policy, of society, that we just don't know where to look. We don't know where to start. They keep us overwhelmed and exhausted this way. And they impose state violence to scare us into submission. And now it's escalating. We're being told to question the truth that's sitting in front of our faces. And we're being told that what is blatantly obvious is a lie. Dissent is being punished severely. The right to protest is coming into question. And in the meantime, we have workers, immigrants, students, women, Black and brown people being targeted in the streets by policy, by executive orders. And each move is designed to ask the question, how much will people tolerate? But that's where we come in, because we won't tolerate it. Authoritarian power relies on our compliance. It relies on normalizing the unacceptable, and it relies on dividing us by class, by gender, by race, by citizenship and ideology. But we can do better and we can be better, because their power doesn't just come from laws and force. It comes from the millions of small acts of cooperation that keep systems running, but it's also authoritarians' greatest vulnerability, because we can choose not to participate. Authoritarian system needs workers for labor. It needs students to go to school. It needs consumers to spend their money. And it needs communities to comply. When we withdraw our cooperation, even briefly, it exposes a simple truth. The system only works because we make it work. And that's why authoritarian regimes fear mass non-cooperation more than they fear criticism. You can dismiss a protest. You can lie about what people are saying, but you can't easily replace the millions of people who stop participating. And the ways that we remove our participation can look very different. It can mean coordinated absences. It can mean refusing to carry on business as usual. And it can mean walking out. It's most powerful when it's visible, collective, and coordinated. And that's what we're practicing with the Free America Walkout. So we're working on building something together, on taking action together, and moving together. That's what our practice is. And it's not just about what we're resisting. Like I asked in the comments, It's about what we're building. We're building to a free America where our bodies aren't controlled by politicians, where we have autonomy, where our labor is respected and rewarded equitably, where our families get to stay together, where our schools tell the truth, and where our communities are safe, resourced, and heard. So tonight, let's ground ourselves in the understanding that we're not just resisting, we're building something better. We're fighting for our shared vision of a free America. So let's get started. I'm so excited to hand over the mic to our Executive Director, Rachel Carmona O'Leary.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Super excited as we're coming in hot on 120. And also holding the fact that there have been protests every day with folks walking out, standing up to ICE raids, running boycotts and all kinds of decentralized things. And so I want to say that we are standing in a moment that is complex, that has a lot of moving parts, and we are glad to be in a role to support and to help move the needle forward at a moment that feels like an inflection point. We are Women's March, and I'm wearing my Women's March swag. And we are getting a lot of questions about like, why is this not a march? And why is this a walkout? So I wanted to give a little bit of context and talk about, kind of pull the curtain aside so that we can see the theory behind it and what we're trying to do. My background, I studied social movements in undergrad, and this is honestly something that I could talk about for a really long time. So I'm going to try to not do that, but someone's going to have to be like, oh, if I start talking too much. But we also have a lot of folks that are going to delve into the specifics of this too. So it'll be a rich conversation for us. But folks who have studied uprisings and resistance all over the world have found something that like our nonviolent movements have been very effective at achieving their goals. And so I don't know, like, put your hands up in the chat or, make a comment if you've heard about this 3.5% rule from Erica Chenoweth and Maria Stephen, who is, who is very active inside of our movement planning spaces. And what that 3.5% means is it's not like as easy as you like have a march and you clock in and you clock out and you punch your card. And if 3.5% of the people in a country show up, that all of a sudden change is predestined. That 3.5% refers to mass civil resistance over time. And so it's not as simple as we just hit a tipping point and there's some clause in the Constitution. It's not as simple as, it just is inevitable. It's something that we have to work towards and sustain. And in order for it to be sustainable, we have to have a lot of different tools in our toolbox. And so we have to enable that mass participation. We have to reduce barriers to entry. We have to attract broad public support, including allies who work within our systems of power. And we have to create internal fractures with our opposition. And we have to, take our opportunities to wedge. And so how we do that is when people stop cooperating and, start protecting the moral legitimacy of our movement. We're bringing more people in. We start fracturing the authoritarian power system structures. And one really easy way to think about this, the type of, kind of economic leverage that we're trying to move right now is the Spotify boycott, the outcry about Jimmy Kimmel. We saw that when people withdrew their money and their consent, how quickly those systems broke. And so we are trying to move that into different fora so that we can begin to leverage different tools in our toolkit so that we continue to do mass mobilizations and we continue to march and we continue to practice non-cooperation in ways that expands our toolbox and makes us more effective. And walkouts are not new. We've seen walkouts, be effective throughout history and in our country. Throughout history in India, people stopped cooperating with British rule. In South Africa, students walked out against apartheid. In East Europe, factory workers walked out. Oftentimes this is a moment of a breaking point when the authoritarian realizes, oh shit, we're in trouble. In Chile, walkouts and strikes made it clear that like the dictatorship only works if you go along with it. And so every time the message is the same when you're walking out, you are walking away from something, but you're also walking to something. And that to something for us is a free America. And we really believe and are advancing the argument with this action that is both a protest and a stress test of our ability to pick up new protest tools and to continue to get better at using them and to scale them in the same way that we have done other tactics. Our main idea is that a free America is the only America that can be called great. And so we are taking this most American concept. It's not a foreign, kind of idea. It hasn't just worked abroad. They're baked into our history. We know during the civil rights movement that students walked out. Folks may know about the Delano grape strike, Delano grape strike, which was workers, in mostly Latinos and farm workers, with Filipinos, called for a strike on, or a boycott on grapes. During the Vietnam War, students regularly walked out of class, workers walked off of jobs, politicians really started to feel the pressure. And in the last decade, teachers have walked out in red states and blue states. And we know of some nurses who are striking right now. And so we know that walkouts work. We know that they are not symbolic. They work because they interrupt business as usual. And marches will show us how many people are mad, and walkouts will help us measure the economic power that we really have. And we actually, as a sidebar, have some researchers from American University working to help us measure the impact of this. And so if you're a person who has RSVP'd for a march and you've gotten a link to ask you some anonymous information about what you think about this type of action, and if you plan to do it again in the future, if you're doing it right now, that is so that we can understand the impact that we're having. And so, right now, MAGA's betting that we're going to keep doing what we're going to do. And we want to really, stop that narrative. I think it's very clear over the last week when we called for this walkout, it was before, these big surges. It was before Venezuela. It was before Minneapolis. But one thing that we know is that a government that kills people, cages people, kidnaps people with impunity, whether that's on the streets of Minneapolis or it's in Venezuela, we know that that is a government that is out of control. We know that that is an authoritarian government, and we know that the only way for us to exercise the people power and to put a stop to this abuse of power, put a stop to the MAGA regime, and to move forward into the feminist future we deserve is to exercise every single tool in our toolbox and probably craft a few more. Like, we're probably going to need to learn new things by the end of all of this. And so what we want to do this week is just say that we are done acting like this is normal. We are ready to take inconveniences. We are ready to, to sacrifice money on the job. We are willing to, if we cannot do that, if we're a NICU nurse, if we're an essential worker, we might not walk out, but we might, wear our colors in solidarity. We might get on social media and do whatever we have to do. And this is also how we learn to act together instead of being alone. One of the things in the last couple of weeks is like, I don't know if you're like me, you're doom scrolling and you start to feel like, oh my God, I'm the only one who sees this. I'm the only one who feels like this. We're going to walk out. We are not alone. Today, we crossed the threshold of 400 walkouts on the map. And we know that there's a lot that are not on the map. It's how we build courage. It's how we build trust. And I would honestly say that that's a practice. I'm like a gym girly. I've been trying to lift weights and trying to get stronger. I was like, things aren't going to get easier. I got to get stronger. And the thing that I've realized is that when you practice a thing, even if you're terrible at it at first, practice helps you get stronger a little bit at a time. And the thing that you thought was completely unreachable to you becomes something that you just do every day. So history is really clear. When enough people practice, when enough people come together with each other, power has to respond. This is something that that is a very clear, arc of history. Is that the saying is like the arc of history bends towards justice. I would say that we bend it. We bend it to justice. And so how we do that is that we have to get more skillful and stronger than we have been. And we have to actually address the root cause and the harm, be with our communities, fight for our communities, and be willing to meet the political moment. So that's my spiel on why this matters. That's why we're walking out on the 20th, 2 p.m. local time. And we are happy to delve into questions later on. But I think the next people up are the homies at 5051.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rachel. This context is really important to understand why a walkout. And so we're really excited to have some friends join us tonight to talk more about about why we're walking out, how we can organize and spread the word. So I'm really excited to introduce Glow with 5051. Glow is a national coordinator for 5051, which is a decentralized movement that opposes the Trump administration and authoritarianism. And they've been mobilizing the masses since January of 2025. Glow is also the founder of Political Revolution, a grassroots organization that focuses on digital support for grassroots candidates and causes across the nation. She's helped support campaigns and movements since 2016, from ASE to Disney, or to Bernie to boycott Disney. So welcome, Glow.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with everybody. And the reason that we're here today is because normal isn't working anymore, because business as usual is costing lives and eroding what it makes a community worth fighting for. We're here not to complain, not to wait for someone else to save us, but to actually build the power we need right where we live. And we're here because walkouts have always worked. Let's be clear. Walkouts are powerful because they interrupt the routine. They show that ordinary people matter, that our labor, our presence, our refusal to be complicit is a force that cannot be ignored. From workers winning basic rights to students calling out war and injustice to communities who walked out to insist on dignity, walkouts are how we shift power. And that's exactly why we're walking out. Because just days ago, Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3, was killed by an ICE agent after dropping her child off at school. She was not a threat, she was a neighbor. Her death shouldn't just make headlines, it should make us act. We walk out because silence is consent. Because unchecked power left all alone will harm our people again and again. And we're not doing this in isolation. Across this country, thousands of people have answered a similar call through something you might know as 5051, which stands for 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. It's not a corporate press release. It's not a centralized organization. It's a decentralized grassroots coalition of everyday people who decided to show up, organize, and act together. We started with an idea and has grown into a movement of local actions, mutual aid events, street signs, and direct community organizing that refuses to wait for permission or for leaders to issue a memo. And that's really the key here. You don't need anyone's permission, and we don't have to wait to get started. We walk out because real change doesn't come from petitions, it comes from participation. We walk out because the cost of silence is too damn high. We walk out because when our neighbors are harmed, we don't shrug, we act. And local organizing is where this gets real. This is where we talk to our neighbors, share information, build teams, stand together, and demand accountability from those in power. It's how walkouts become movements, not just moments. It's how we make sure one story doesn't become another statistic. So today, bring someone with you. Talk to someone who hasn't shown up yet. Build relationships. Show up for each other. And let's push for a world where families don't fear that a normal morning could be their last. A freer, safer America doesn't just start in Washington. It starts here, right now, with us, our voices, our bodies, and our organizing. That's why we walk out. That's why we organizing. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, so proud to stand beside Women's March and all of the partners. Thank you so much for having me, and let's do this.
Thanks so much, Glow. And thank you for the partnership of 5051. This is so important that this is not just a Women's March effort. This is not just, us on the streets in our communities. There are so many partners involved in this. There are so many collaborators within these coalitions of ours that we are really excited to be building with. This is not isolated. We are all working together, and that's what is powerful. Now, we do see your questions. We are going to be talking about the how, and one of the first hows that I want to talk about is how we find something near us. I did see someone ask a question looking at the website. Can't achieve results for your city and state. Now, if you're looking at the map, we can drop the link to the map. You can find walkouts near you. because a lot of people are coordinating meeting points. To walk out, you're going to walk out of work, of school. For some of us who work remotely, walk to a place together. Join each other in your community. Find a location on the map that is in your community where you can collaborate together, where you can talk with each other about what a free America looks like to you and how that can start in your community. We also want you all to think about the creative ways to walk out. It's not just going to be, for some people, you're going to need to get a little more creative. You might need to use your break time at work. So if you have state mandated or federally mandated break time built into your work schedule, maybe take that break time at 2 p.m. because official walkout time is 2 p.m. So use your break time. Some people are going to be calling off for the afternoon, whether they're using sick time or PTO, vacation time, whatever they need to do. Some people are choosing to walk out that way, while others are choosing to digitally black out. They're going to block off their calendars on their work calendars. They're going to put up away messages in their Slack or in their messaging apps. They're going to black out their time and they're going to withdraw their labor. While others are going to be coordinating something in their communities. We've seen a lot of people asking too, how can retirees participate? One of the most important things that our retired communities can do is to coordinate something in your community. Decide on a meeting place and give people somewhere to be, to walk out to, if they so choose. So we'll be, helping and supporting more. We're going to be asking more questions. But what I do want to touch on right now is the power of digital and the power of digitally connecting with each other, because we do have the map that people are going to be able to find their other locations, find other people walking out to amass, to come together. And for a lot of you, if you are hosting a walkout like that, you're going to want to find other people. You're going to want to bring other people to you and also connect with your own networks. So I'm going to pass it over to our friends at Feminist because they can talk more about the power of digital to bring people together. Kai Polanco is co-founder and co-executive director of Feminist, a social-first nonprofit media organization reaching 25 million people monthly. Feminist is the largest platform centering women, girls, and gender-expansive people, delivering intersectional feminist news, storytelling, and content that connects community to collective action on reproductive justice, climate, and intersectional movements. Hey, Kai.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I want to stress that you are all part of a community who is like-minded and sick and tired of what's happening, and you should feel really good about how strong this community that is here right now with you. We're not alone in this, and I think that's what's been really beautiful to see across social media. So my name is Kai Polanco, co-founder, co-executive director of Feminist. And I'm here to talk about how we can use social media in a really powerful way on Tuesday at 2 p.m. So there's a high chance that you probably saw the video last week, the gruesome and violent murder of Renee Nicole Good. And you probably saw that on your social media feed. While this may be what catapulted you to join this call, or maybe it was a video that you saw and you knew it was coming because the ICE enforcement is just getting so incredibly violent and has been for a very long time. And I feel like what you probably experienced in that video was not only anger, but probably also it compelled you to do something, to get up and join this walkout. And that's even more powerful than, sometimes reading a traditional news story or anything. It's like you experienced it. And that's the power that we have this Tuesday, is that we can use social media to do just that, is to have more people join our movements and look for spaces to show up in person. So we just learned a lot about decentralizing, how important like decentralizing movement is, and the power of walkouts and how they work. But what I'm particularly excited about with the Free America Walkout is how we can use our digital advocacy in the same way. So when I talk about decentralizing this walkout, I'm thinking about hashtags. So hashtags are a great way to get more people to see things that don't necessarily follow you or can break through the choir, is what we call it. We're using the hashtag Free America and hashtag Free America Walkout. This will make you visible in the count. I sometimes think of hashtags as ways of directly speaking and creating like data points for our elected officials, because they could simply go online, see how many people use the hashtag, and then use that as a data point as to what their constituents really want. And together we have the power to really show those true numbers of how many people are showing up and talking about this. So if, beyond just being able to physically walk out or whatever that looks like to you, you can also show up online by doing this, by starting conversations online, amplifying posts from other people who are there. I think the importance of the sharing is that it might be reaching that aunt who is deeply angry about what's happening but doesn't know how to take action, or that coworker who you've never had a political conversation with suddenly feels safe, like they can go to you to figure out how to support. And it might even reach someone who didn't even know this was happening in another part of the world, but gets incredibly inspired and figures, how can I use this framework or this blueprint to take this home? So hashtags have the power to really break through that. And why, you might be thinking like, well, what about just tagging Women's March or some of the other organizations involved? Well, you can do that too. I think that it's important to really see that this movement is decentralized and it's a movement. It's not like a brand sponsored event that some people may feel like they can be part of and others can't. It's like anyone and everyone can be a part of this, and you can do that through that hashtag Free America, because it's a belief that we probably all share in this chat. I want to give a really powerful example of where traditional media totally failed us, but the power of social media came through. Wow, AI is giving you all a thumbs up to this. So No King's March. If you were able to join that march, drop a lightning strike in the chat, because you definitely were out there breaking that algorithm. And on the No King's March, we saw on like the Sunday papers, traditional media just simply didn't cover it. We barely saw any traditional press. If you were to Google it, you barely found any images. But what you did see on social media were viral videos and people walking out in masses. Some of the largest protests in our history were happening. And thanks to people with a phone, we were able to document that. And what that we learned in that is that future generations can now look back, or even near future moments, we can look back and see a blueprint for how we can show up in mass mobilization events. And so it's important that outside of it's like our taking back our power outside of like traditional mainstream media who continues to censor us or fire women for simply doing their job of telling the truth. And it allows us to use our own tools that we have available to us and our own platforms to really tell the story we want to see. So as I mentioned before, I'm so thankful and grateful to be in community with you all. I hope to see you out there. And if not, I'll definitely see you online. Use that hashtag Free America, hashtag Free America Walkout. And you can, of course, at Feminist, we'll be out there promoting and sharing what's happening in the world across all of our social media channels. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Kai. And make sure you're using those hashtags. That's how we're going to be able to see what you're doing and checking out, who is out there. But also, social media is so incredibly powerful to find community near you. So make sure that when you find something on the map or when you add something to the map, that you share it out with your social media networks, that you share it out with local Facebook groups that you're a part of, or just on your own social media so that the people in your life and your community can join you. Now, we do see questions about, what if I don't see something in my community on the map? That means that you have the opportunity to organize something yourself. So we're going to be getting into that with Shauna in just a bit, but I do want to talk more about some opportunities that we have for folks who maybe aren't walking out of a workplace. We do know that people work in sensitive fields, and we want to be sensitive to that too. So we do have some people who, like nurses and teachers, who are going to be offering solidarity through social media posting. We are encouraging people who work in sensitive workplaces to do red, white, and blue solidarity posts. So those are where you gather up some colleagues, some friends, take pictures wearing red, white, and blue, and then post them at 2 p.m. local time, because the walkout is at 2 p.m. local time on January 20th. And use the hashtag Free America so that you can show your solidarity. While you may not be able to work out or walk out safely from your workplace, you can still be in solidarity. And retirees, we also have another one for you. Some retirees are going to be waving signs at these sensitive workplaces. So if there is a hospital near you that you think, you have nurses that would otherwise want to walk out, wave signs for them, show them solidarity. Same thing with teachers. So we can see people at schools, we can see people at medical facilities that would otherwise not be able to walk out. Show them some solidarity, wave signs with them. We also have other ideas of ways that people can come together as well after walkouts. So I'm going to hand it over to Popular Democracy to talk about that. Isaias Guerrero is a social arsonist for justice, born from the Andes Mountains in Colombia. As part of the immigrant rights movement for 17 years, he learned the impact of people power and organizing, and is deeply committed to creating spaces to imagine a better world and how to build it. He's the director of Fight Back with Popular Democracy, and you can find him dancing cumbia in the DC scene. Welcome, Isaiah.
Thank you so much, Reza. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to share space with you all and talk to you about how we together can continue creating a path to freedom and liberation for everybody. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing with Popular Democracy and how we're so excited to join with the Women's March to just continue building power across the land. So I'll talk a little bit about Popular Democracy. We're a coalition of the most badass community-based organizations, 48 in 38 states, that are basically fighting for Black, brown, immigrant, and working class communities all across around state, local, and federal policies. And, I, like Reza said, I'm an immigrant from Colombia, and I used to be undocumented up until this summer. And so I am fighting for the 11 million undocumented people that do not have an access to legalizing, like many people in my community, in my family. I'm also fighting for people like my trans sister, who this administration is trying to strip away her rights to exist. And then, services like what my father receives to keep alive, like Medicare. So like what we've been able to do in this year, what we've seen is this powerful source of inspiration and community power that has really allowed us to have some very important wins. The most important win that I'm going to talk about and that I'll connect with the democracy dinners is this ability of us as the movement to be able to make sure that healthcare and the fight for healthcare actually makes us the most powerful movement. Because what we've seen is that we've won the narrative. Through healthcare, we've taught the whole world how this administration is really trying to strip us from the basic right of a good healthcare system. In our ability of going out into the streets and fighting for immigrants and allies, we've been able to show the world how we're living in an autocratic system that is taking away our due process, our loved ones being kidnapped, our allies being murdered literally by thugs with guns that are getting $50,000 for just entering the ICE force. So through our power in the streets, we've shown how we as people are ready to say no to any of our neighbors being kidnapped, from any of our loved ones being stripped away from their basic rights. And so we have the opportunity with these walkouts to do so as well. Now, one of the biggest and most important goals for this year is to show our power so that in November, we really are able to ensure that our voices are heard. And so what we got to continue in terms of the pressure is on members of Congress. So once you do your walkout, what we as Popular Democracy are proposing is to do democracy dinners. And what is a democracy dinner? It's basically you put a table, a couple of chairs, and you break bread. Basically it's think about the table of plenty, think about our daily bread, think about any analogy that you want to use that basically says in this table, there's space for everybody. Now, there's space for everybody, but there's also some empty chairs. There's some empty chairs because some people have been deported. Some people have been dying because of lack of access to healthcare, because of lack of having access to housing. So we want to use this analogy as a way to bring in the stories from your community so that you're able to shine light into the moral crisis that this administration is doing, but also show the power of how we will continue defending this table of plenty, this democracy table, because in democracy, everyone has a seat in the table. And so that's what we want to invite you to host as well. So once you walk out, figure out where the closest member of Congress office is, what is the issue that you're passionate about, that you want to uplift, and that's it. You can hold the dinner, the democracy dinner, for 10 minutes, for an hour, for 10 hours. It really depends on your capacity. But the goal is not only to create this very important moment of crisis in our country, but to show the power of our unity, and more importantly, to create a space that will allow us to continue building, inviting more people in, because there will be a moment where we all will have to sit in this table and actually stay there for a lot longer. Like the examples that were mentioned earlier, that's what happened in Egypt when they took over the dictator. That's what happened in the Philippines in the 80s when they took over the dictatorship there. It was us, people power, sitting down, occupying spaces, and like earlier, basically saying the people have the power that the government needs to continue functioning, and the people can take that power away in a non-violent, peaceful way. So join us. The information on joining the democracy dinners is in the toolkit. I will also put the document in the chat that just gives you a little bit more of a sense on how to do these democracy dinners. But yeah, we're very excited to partner with the Women's March and with so many more organizations across the country to make this a reality and keep fighting for all of our people. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Isaiah. So now we have some grounding on some alternatives, some ways that you can participate, but let's walk through a simple walkout. So first and foremost, check the map. We've been dropping it, the link in the comments. Check the map to see if there's a walkout near you so that you know if you can join other people afterwards. If there's one, join it and connect in solidarity with your community. Even if you don't end up rallying at the same place, you know that you have community members who are walking out as well. And you can rally in a place with them too. But if there's not, congratulations, you might be the spark that lights up your community. Now, we want y'all to organize others to walk out with you. It feels better when we're walking out with other people. It feels more powerful because while you will be walking out with thousands of people across the country, having somebody side by side with you feels really powerful too. So invite a friend, wear red, white, and blue together, walk out together. Text a few people, text some classmates, text some coworkers, some friends, and post something in a group chat and just ask, I'm walking out for Free America on January 20th at 2 p.m. You want to walk out with me? Simple as that. Pick a meeting spot if you feel so inclined. It makes the action visible and it grounds it. You can carry signs. That is absolutely an option. You can also let people know, I'm walking out for a Free America. You're invited to join me. If you are just walking out from work, from school. Now, if you are a union worker, check with your union reps about your rights to walk out during the workday, of course, because we know we want it to be safe for y'all. We want it to be secure for your work, for you to protect your work. And also, we want to recognize too, this isn't convenient. This isn't a weekend march that is, convenient for us. The point is inconvenience, and to recognize that we will be accepting some discomfort in the fight against authoritarianism. So check in with yourself, check in with your boundaries, your level of risk that you are accepting, that you're able to accept and that you're willing to accept. Check in with a friendly manager. If you know that your workplace is not going to be amenable, then take your time. Check in on timing, or check in on your breaks and see if you can just use your break. But there is no single right way to walk out. The right way is the one that you can do. Walk out briefly, walk out silently, step away during a break, join before or after work, host a democracy dinner. We do want to make that point, that the point is disruption. So that can be tricky. It's tricky to navigate. And we want to acknowledge that. We want to be real with you because this is real. We are fighting real stakes. So, figure out what your risk level is. And if you feel safe and comfortable being visible, do it. Wear red, white, and blue. Hold a sign. Take a photo and, of course, share it on social media with hashtags Free America and hashtag Free America Walkout. Now, there are also other considerations for students. If you are a student, check in with a cool teacher. Check in with a teacher that you think would be friendly to the idea. See what the risk is for you. Check in and find out what your school's response would be. But as a student, you uniquely have a lot of rights to free speech. So take advantage of that. And we do have toolkits. We have a digital toolkit, we have a walkout toolkit, and we have a student toolkit with specifics and details and a lot of the information that we've already just outlined on how to walk out. So we will be sending those out via email afterwards. However, if you find that on the map there isn't an action already near you, but you want there to be, we are encouraging you to organize within your community. Be that spark, be the person that anchors a meeting place for your community members. And I'm going to pop it over to our team member, Shauna, who is going to talk more about adding an event to the map and organizing within your community.
Hi, everybody. I'm very excited to see you all here. I have been reading the chat this entire call, and I am thrilled to be able to answer some of your questions. I am Shauna. I am with Women's March. I am the National Distributed Organizer, and when you put actions on the map, I'm the person that's going to look at them. And so I see a lot of questions, and They revolve around what people do, what people can do. We're going to answer all the questions. I promise you we're going to get to everyone that we can. What I will say is there are 400 actions on the map currently. There are a lot of choices of things that you're able to do to walk out. So when we're talking about organizing in your local community, what the important things to remember is not how big an action is. It's not how many people you can get to show up. It's that you did the work. And so if you talk to your neighbor, if you talk to that coworker, if you get 4 friends to walk out for 5, 10, 15 minutes, that's a removal of labor. That's what we're looking for. Would we like more folks to walk out for 2, 3 hours? Absolutely. But if that is not feasible for everybody to do, by all means, do what you can to be involved. So when we're talking about walkouts in general, you have the opportunity to organize anywhere you are. If you see an action in Boston, for example, on the map, but you know that action is 4 miles from where you are in Boston, don't be afraid to gather the people where you are and say, you know what, we can walk out too. You can create an action that is someplace for other people to walk out too. So that is another option. We love the idea of doing mutual aid actions. We're trying to build in general across the country mutual aid for folks. We know with the economy, the way things are right now, that people are struggling. And we know this is an opportunity that we have that we can help people. And so you can create an action where maybe you have a friend who has a pickup truck. Maybe you just use the trunks of a few SUVs and you gather mutual aid products and you go and donate them to the nearest location that helps serve underserved people. So you can do anything that helps look like a free America in your eyes. What it means to you is what you can do. It does not have to be walking out to a rally. You don't have to spend money to do it. You don't have to build a massive event. You can walk out and go to a park with your friends because that's freedom, right? You can walk out and you can go get coffee with people that you care about because that's freedom. And you can walk out and you can dance in the streets because that's freedom. So it doesn't have a look that has to be a format you all follow. So I see people saying, I don't have a job, or I'm retired, I work from home, I'm self employed, all these various things that are inhibiting people from participating. And I actually don't see those as inhibiting people. I see those as beneficial factors that allow you some freedom to be more creative, right? So we have folks, I'm going to shout out Huntsville, West Virginia. They are providing hot chocolate and bag lunches for unhoused communities, right? We have the opportunity to go out and help and do things in our community. So volunteer your time if that's what free America looks for, like to you, helping other people. So there's a lot of choices here. And when you go to put your action on the map, what you're going to do is you're just going to put your location. You're going to put your information. You can put exactly what you want to have happen. I want to meet my friends. I want to meet people who feel like I feel at the park on 15th Street. And I guarantee you people are going to come and meet you at that park. There are so many people that are looking to connect and build community with you that this is really not a heavy lift to gather folks together and just stand in solidarity together. And so I'm glad again to have you all on here. And I will be back later to answer questions. I do see there's more in the chat, but I want to make sure we get to everybody and get to all of the questions we have. And I know we're running short on time. So I'm going to pass it back to Risa.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions. So actually, we are going to bring everyone back on stage who wants to be back on stage. And we are going to open it up to some questions. So I'm going to start, though, with a couple questions while everybody gets themselves comfortable and ready. Seen 2 different times for a walkout. What is it? 2 p.m. local time, your local time. So 2 p.m. January 20th. It is a Tuesday afternoon. And so just remember 2 p.m. local time. I'm going to keep this banner scrolling for the time being because it has the hashtags and it has the time. Additionally, a few people have asked again, what colors? What are our solidarity colors? Red, white, and blue. This is our flag. It's our country. It's the America that we aspire to. So let me bring some folks back on stage for more questions. All right. Let me get Shauna back. Oh, no, not Shauna. Okay, cool. And I'm going to fix our interpreters really quickly. Sorry, which one of you wants to be on stage now? All right, cool. Perfect. So we have our interpreters. By the way, again, shout out to Cocoa. It's been great to have interpreters with us today. So, all right, we've talked about this quite a lot. So just throwing it back in here. I'm retired. What do I walk out from? So we've talked a lot about different options for our retired community to take action, to organize in their communities, to add an event to the map, be a coordinator, coordinate the meeting place for your community, coordinate a democracy dinner, bring some friends over, talk about what's real. So we've got a lot of options here. And also, we've seen some related questions about, see, I'm an ER physician. It's not ethical for me to walk out on my patients. My thought was to organize people who aren't on shift to protest in front of the hospital. And that's also a really great way for our retired community to get involved. You can go to these sensitive workplaces, childcare places, hospitals, medical centers, schools. These are places where people are less likely to be able to walk out because they are in fields where they are responsible for patients, for the care of children, and we want to be inclusive of them. We want to be in solidarity with those folks. So those are some great ways to get involved and to take action. So
If I would also just add that there are some people, even if you don't work in, even if you're not an essential worker, there are some people whose jobs or positions or your place in life doesn't allow you to take this risk in this moment. And so whether that means wearing your red, white, and blue, whether it means signing a petition for an organization, there's I'm red, white, and blue when I'm in my signature black. I'm in my Morticia Adams. But just looking at the map, there are some, I'm fairly certain, Shauna can correct me if I'm wrong, that there are some virtual actions that folks can take. So we're just as limited as our creativity here in the ways that we can be in solidarity, in this moment. And what I would also say is that the behind the scenes secret chisme that you can hear is that we just signed as a partner today Third Act, which is an organization that organizes retirees and folks over 60 to make impact in their communities. And so stay tuned for more to come as we work with them, hopefully over the next day or so that we can have a little bit more scaffolding for folks who are retired.
Yeah. That's really great news. This is kind of news to me too. It's really exciting to hear all these different partnerships because we also did have that question. Is this walkout known beyond Women's March and being communicated through other organizations as well? It sure is. This is a coalition effort. This is not just us in isolation. This is us standing in solidarity. 3 of our organizational partners are here with us tonight. Cocoa is here with us tonight. We're really grateful for them as well. This is not happening in a vacuum. We are moving together in solidarity. And if you have a local organization that you would like to bring into the fold, reach out. We are really excited to continue to build on those partnerships and to bring more people into these actions.
And I would just put some numbers on that. We have about 100 partners that have signed on, and we're gaining more every day. And additionally, we have tens of thousands of mentions on each platform, an in aggregate hundreds of thousands, and into the millions. But what I would say is that it's also really difficult for us to track this because, for example, I think somebody mentioned in the chat that there was a Houston action around impeachment, a walk-in, walkout. Some folks are tracking this on their websites. This is really a decentralized, effort. And so it absolutely has steam. It absolutely has a lot of, traction online. And this isn't something that we believe that we own. A free America belongs to all of us. And so it's a kind of get in where you fit in moment. Organizations are doing that. Some people are doing actions over the weekend. It just looks different for each person. We did wake up to the news that Dean Withers had posted at Withers, or is it Winters, the Democratic influencer on TikTok. And so we see that it's going around. So there is news. It's outside of the Women's March ecosystem, larger than us, larger than our map, and hopefully very impactful.
Yeah, and to add to that, if folks don't have an organizing home, check in. I mean, in any of the organizations that have sign up websites, we all have affiliates. Like I shared, we have 48 community-based organizations in 38 states that are going to be joining, that are going to be doing something connected to the walkout. Of course, they're focused on their own issues, whether it's healthcare, housing, immigration, but it's a big tent because this is a moment where all of us are under attack. And so please check the website. And if you don't find an action, reach out to them and make sure that they do it so that they really join this echo that says that we want freedom and justice right now.
Amazing. All right, we see this question. Are you encouraging only women to walk out or people of all genders? It's a free America for everybody. Everybody. Yes, we're Women's March, sure. But this isn't just our walkout. As Rachel said, this is decentralized. This is a movement. We just happen to be the people who are, prompting and organizing and really trying to provide as many resources as possible to make it happen for all of you. We want to build this muscle for resistance, for persistent non-compliance, and for pressure across the country. So that's what we're here to be supportive on, and how we're here to support all of you. So we're really grateful to y'all for asking these questions. We have time for one more question. I know we're actually over time. This one was a good one. And so can we create a standardized letter that we can hand to our bosses, or something detailing our concerns and why we're walking out? Absolutely.
We had this question earlier today, and we are happy to do that. And some of the details that we would add is kind of like, it's the walkout, I don't know if you noticed, is on the date of inauguration for last year. And part of why Women's March is not just women, but because that's also when Women's March happened for the first time. And so we're honoring the the protest of and the the resistance of folks in Trump 1.0 and 2.0, and also marking the date of inauguration with this. And so we would put that in a letter, and some of the other pieces around kind of the why of that inside of these things, along with the safety tips. That was in not in the letter, but in the email that you all will get. We will send a letter, safety tips, and other sort of follow-up pieces that you could forward on to folks who may not have had the opportunity to see the call, but still would like to get involved.
Yep. And all links and resources are going to be sent via email within the next day, within 24 hours. But additionally, if you still have questions, if you would still like some additional support, we are here. We have office hours Wednesday, Friday, and Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll include that link in the email that goes out. You'll also see that on social media. So keep an eye there. If you have questions, if you need extra hand holding, because we're here. We're here to hold your hand. So just wanted to thank you all for being here tonight, for laying the foundation for bigger moves, because we see the demand for something bigger. And we know that this isn't going to happen in one action. We are not going to fix all of our country's problems in one day. But we are going to work together to build our muscle for resistance, for non-cooperation, and to make demands for a free America. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. Watch out for your emails. We're going to be sending out those resources, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday, 2 p.m. local time. Good night.